Hi, this is Mr. Bissonette with another episode of Math in the Classroom. Today we're going to talk about composite functions. So, I will be able to solve composite functions for a given value. We'll talk about how we go about solving them, and then we'll show you a couple examples and go from there. So, composite functions will look something like f of g of x. And again, the way that we read that is f of g of x. Okay? Now there's a simple little picture that I show my students to help them remember how to solve these. We're going to start from the center right here, and we're going to work our way out. Another way to think about it is you can kind of think of it like an explosion. We start off in the center and then we work our way out. So if we have something that says compute, or it might say solve, they use those words kind of interchangeably. Solve when f of g of 4. Maybe our functions are going to be something like g of x equals 3x, and maybe our f of x is going to be x squared. So again, thinking about that picture, we're going to start from the center and we're going to work our way out. So the first function that we have in the center is our g of 4. So we're going to plug that 4 into our g, so we'd have g of 4 equals 3 times 4. Now, when you're working through these functions, a lot of times this is when our math book will talk about inputs and outputs. In this case, our input would be our 4, and once we solve it, so g of 4, 3 times 4 is going to be 12, so our output then becomes our 12. Now the way the composite functions work is the output then becomes the input into the next function, or the answer from the first function becomes what we plug into our x for our next function. So now we have an output of 12, or a value, x value of 12, so we write f of 12 equals 12 squared. And now this is going to be the input of our new function. So it's the output for the first function, input for the second function. We now solve it. So we would have f of 12 equals 144. And to write the answer correctly, we would write f of g of 4 equals 144. And that would be the correct way to write our answer. We'll look at another example. Maybe we would have something like h of f of x. And maybe we'll say our x is going to be 5. In this case, we might have f of x equaling 1/5 x plus 2, and h of x will equal 3 to the x power. All right, so again, we start off at the center, we work our way out. So we're going to have the input of 5. That's going to go into our f function, or our f of x function. So we're going to have f of 5 is equal to 1/5 times 5, or 5 over 1 if you want to think of it that way, plus 2. 1 times 5 is 5, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 divided by 5 is going to be 1, so we're going to have f of 5 equals 1 plus 2. Again, I did my multiplication first because I'm following order of operations. So I got to do my multiplying before I do my adding and subtracting. Now I'm going to do my adding and subtracting. 1 plus 2 is going to be 3, so I'm going to have f of 5 equals 3. This is my output, which will then become my input for here. So we have h of 3 equals 3 to the third power. And again, I know this is a little confusing, but we'll kind of draw a picture here with the 3's there. That output is becoming the input up here. All right, 3 to the 3rd power, what does that mean? It means 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is going to be 9. 9 times 3 is going to be 27. So we're going to have h of 3 equals 27. Excuse me. So to write the answer completely correct, we would say h of f of 5 equals 27. So again, the composite function, this is this part where we're working with multiple functions, solving for a given value. This value, that is our input. Give us some new terminology there. And that input becomes the output, and the output becomes the input, and the input then becomes the output. Kind of confusing, but if you follow along, I think we got it correct there. So that's how you work with composite functions, and thank you for watching.